Alright everybody, welcome back to the channel. I wanted to walk you guys through rebuilding a Lexus ls430 power steering pump. I have most of it apart already. I am going to put a full video on how to go about rebuilding it from start to finish, okay? But I figured I had one apart already, so I wanted to walk you guys through. I apologize if the video comes out a little lopsided. I bought a tripod from Savers and I didn't realize that one of the legs was completely broken, so I have it propped right now on some 2x4s, but hopefully it gets the job done. I'm going to keep everything right here because I think this is the center of the frame. All right, so first things first, we're going to go ahead and kind of just take everything apart, and if you don't know how to do that, like I said, just wait for the full video, okay? But once you have everything apart, there's a couple of seals that we're going to work on replacing. This is the back cover of the power steering pump. There's one seal right there. The inner of the power steering pump is right here, and it does matter how it goes back in, so you want to be mindful of that, okay? There's one seal, two right there, and then this main almost race that you're going to have to take off as well. There's another seal right here. This is held on by a 12mm bolt. That seal we're going to replace, and then there's also another seal hidden behind this gigantic 27mm nut, okay? So first things first, like I said, let's take this race off. It's super durable, so I couldn't get it from the inside, and I'm sure there's a tool that you can buy, but I didn't really have that kind of time. So just a really big flathead screwdriver. What you want is to get some leverage. You're going to push all the way underneath this race and to the wall of this pump, okay? And you're just going to simply pry. Don't go crazy, all right? And you're just going to keep rotating it and continue until you have it unseated, okay? So like I said, be patient and just keep working your way around. What you want to do is, like I said, make sure that there's always force pushing towards the outside of that race, because the race is pretty heavy duty, so you won't be able to punch through it. There you go. What I don't want to do is, of course, damage the inner of this housing right here, okay? So like I said, the race in itself is really solid. You want to push like that and then pry up, okay? So once you have that off, I'm just going to clean this real quick. So I bought this pump off of eBay in preparation to put it into my car, because mine that's currently on the car is leaking. So that's what I'm doing. I'm getting it ready before I put it in, okay? So good. We're still in the center of the frame. You want to buy a kit. You can buy it from probably anywhere, but I bought mine directly from Toyota Lexus. This was $24, I think, and it comes with everything that you need, okay? So take the race out. Okay. That's what it looks like. So like I said, clean off the housing where it's going to go and sit. Just make sure there's nothing that's not going to make it not seat appropriately, okay? And then, like I said, if you wanted to, you can hit it with some brake cleaner. Like I said, I already cleaned it with the rag beforehand, so it looks decent already. But I'm going to put this race in like that. And now to get this properly seated, I'm going to use a 13/16 socket. And I'm just going to lightly hammer it down, making sure that it's as even as possible. There we go, looks good. Let me get some more surface area on it. And when you're done, or when you think you're done, just kind of run your hand over the lip just to make sure that everything feels smooth and even, okay? So like I said, just gentle bangs, nothing too crazy. Don't pull out your 5-pound sledgehammer or something, all right? Okay. I think one last hit for good measures. All right. Guys, I like it. I think that's good. Feels great. All right, so the race is in. Let's tackle this little guy. Best thing and easiest thing for you to use is probably a pick. Once again, I got to remind myself that I want to keep it in the center of the frame, so I'm going to So now God knows how long this O-ring has been in there, so it might be a little hard, it might be brittle, but it's hard. It's definitely solid, but it still has some life in it. So before we put the new one on, we're just gonna wipe it down. Let's find the suitable O-ring for it. I'm thinking it's this guy right here. So lucky for us, there's some grease on it already, so I'm just going to simply slide this on. And then before you actually go and seal everything up, if you wanted to, you can just take a dab of power steering fluid, run it over the O-ring just to kind of make sure that everything is lubricated before you put it back in. Okay, so like I said, this is going to go here. We're going to leave that out for now. This we're going to toss. We're going to toss the O race out as well. All right, next, like I said, this little guy right here, well, it's not really little, it's 27 millimeter. You want to back it off. And this was actually a lot more brittle than I thought it was going to be. That right there. Be gentle, try not to scratch the channel that it sits in. And just walk it around. Like that. And then same thing, we're just gonna take this off. Once again, like I said, it has some life in it, but it's still kind of, it feels pretty solid, okay? So let's take that off. Wipe this down. Same thing, like I said before, if you wanted to hit it with some brake cleaner, go for it. This doesn't look that bad at all, so we'll find a suitable O-ring. In the package, you're gonna notice there is a more voluptuous O-ring that goes right here, okay? So you want the thinner one. And this one is gonna go, once again, same thing, like I said, before you seal it all up, if you really wanted to, go for it, dab a little power steering fluid, rub it on top of the ring, so then that way, when you seat it, it doesn't roll around or anything like that, but it has a nice little channel that I don't think it's gonna be able to roll too much, okay? So I'm gonna put this back in. I'm gonna hand tighten everything for now. I'm not gonna really exert any force on it. Okay, so that's the front cover. I like it. I think we're done with the front cover. Yeah, so there's nothing on the back side of the front cover itself, okay? So like I said, this is done. We're gonna put this to the side. So now we're gonna work on the back cover, which has this odd shape O-ring. Okay, so same thing, get your trusty pick, and we're gonna try to pick this out, like I said, without damaging the channel that it sits in. That was actually almost too easy. So I'm gonna take that out. Super dry though, so it's not to the point where it's like, you know, cracking or anything like that just yet, you know, but once you're here, you might as well replace all of the seals, okay? Please don't be one of those guys that replaces just the race and then, you know what, that's good enough. Nope. Like I said, if you're already here, buy the whole kit, get everything done, all right? Okay. The channel looks super clean, so I'm not even gonna touch it. That looks amazing, actually. All right, I'm gonna put everything back like that. Make sure if there's any debris, you guys kind of take it out, okay? Because you don't want anything that sits inside of this pump. You want it to make sure it's clear. Are we still in the center? We are. Great. Perfect. All right. So back cover is done. Front cover is good. I'm going to move it to the side. This little clip we're going to use later. All right. So now we are going to work on these two. So this is the inside of the pump in itself. So right now we have two O-rings left. We got this big one, and we got this more, like I said, voluptuous one right there. So let's see if I can just take this off. Yeah, nice. All right. So this one comes out, as you can tell. This has been there for a while. It's no longer, it's still round, but the profile of it, as you can tell, it's quite thin. So, like I said, that's been sitting there for a while. Let's clean this off. Okay, and I'm just gonna slide the new one in. That looks way better, okay? And then same thing for this outer one. As you can tell, it's still round. This one's actually very, very solid. But the profile, once again, like I said, it's already flattening out. Not a big deal. It just means that it's been there for quite some time. I don't know how old this power steering pump is. I think the gentleman from eBay said it was from a 2004. So what is that? That's 19 years. Yeah, I mean, the inside has some staining. And I tried cleaning it off, that yellow stain right here. I couldn't. So I tried everything. Brake cleaner, some alcohol. I did gasoline even. Yeah, that didn't do the trick. So nonetheless, that's fine. I don't mind. All right, so everything is back together. It's all sealed. It looks great. So let's put it all together if you've never actually taken one apart, okay? So let me just make sure my workstation still looks like it's in the center. Great. Move this off to the side. Move this away a little bit. So let's move the front cover with the little teardrop shape at the bottom, okay? So it's pointing at you right now, like that. I'm gonna use my trusty, let's see, my socket here to hold everything up. Perfect. And we're gonna take this, and now we're going to drop it upside down, okay? So this is gonna go like this, okay? This notch hole right here, all right, is gonna have to line up with that notch hole right here, okay? Like I said, you can't miss it. And then once you get it in there, you can always move it around. It is not a big deal, but it does have to go in this fashion, okay? So I've just noticed, see how the outer O-ring already came off? Not a big deal. Why don't we seat that inside this housing first? Okay, so that's what you want to do. You want to seat the O-ring inside that housing, okay? And then same thing, like I said before. I'm going to flip this and find that notch right there. That's going to line up with that notch right there, okay? So let's slide that in like that. Push all the way in. It should look somewhat like that. And like I said, you can move it, so don't be afraid if you didn't get it in all the way into the center, okay? So not a big deal. It looks good, feels great, okay? And then what we're gonna do is we're gonna take this ring, and same thing, the 9 should be facing upwards, okay? And then that notch, same thing, it should line up with that same notch, okay? So we're gonna put it in. Perfect. And this also is allowed to move slightly like that. So you can definitely put it in, and like I said, readjust as needed. So now this little wheel looking thing with the metal vanes, okay, that's the thing that's going to push your fluid around. So same thing, it goes in only one direction. So it came out this way, which means I'm now going to flip it upside down. Let's see if there's any markings. Okay, so I just noticed something. There is a triangular shape. I hope you guys can see that right there. This now needs to go in downward. So basically looking through the front of the pump where the pulley is going to be, okay? So you want to make sure that you flip it and put it back into this hole like such. If the vanes pop out, not a big deal. Don't panic. Let me see if I can show you guys. So these also go in one direction. It's probably really hard to tell, but this side where my index finger is, okay, is flat. I know both of them looks flat right now, but I promise you when you're looking at it up close, one side will look flatter, okay? So this is flat where my index finger is, and then where my right thumb is, this now has a rounded, almost like a radius edge to it, okay? You want the rounded radius edge pointing outside. So this goes like this. So that way when this spins around, the vanes, as they pull out by centrifugal force here, it's going to now scrape this wall, push the fluid around, okay? So that's why you want that outside radius edge pointing outward, okay? So I'm going to center that. This is not the pulley that I want because as you can tell, it's pretty banged up, but I'm just going to use it for illustration purposes. Not a big deal. So we're going to take the pulley, lay it down. Of course, it has some teeth. We're going to put it in. And now the splines are going to have to line up. It's not a big deal. Like I said, just be gentle. Work it in until the spline on your pulley lines up with that wheel like that. And you're done. There you go. Okay. So you're literally probably now 90% there. Not a big deal. You just have one more thing to do, which is this clip. Okay. So this clip here, hopefully you guys can see it. That's going to go right here on the spline. Okay. I'm not going to put it on because, like I said, as you saw before, the spline and the pulley are one piece, and I need to get myself a new spline and pulley first. You know what? I'm gonna use this one. This is a spare one that I have, so why don't we just use this one? All right, so let me take this off. And same thing to take it off, is just be gentle, don't yank too crazy. So why don't I use this as almost like a prop. Let me take my pulley, my spline, looks good. And same thing, like I said, just work it in gently until the spline lines up with the wheel, like that. And then if you look, like I said, there's just a hole there for where your clip is supposed to go, okay? So I don't have anything fancy to put this clip on. The way that I took it off was just two pry bars. I'm sorry, two picks, and that's what I'm gonna do here. Basically, I might even be able to use my fingers. So I'm just gonna use my index to kind of pry it outward a little bit while I'm exerting force down, so that way it goes to where it needs to be, okay? So let me see. Let me go. And here, same thing, guys. It's just be gentle, nothing crazy. I'm just using two picks to force it apart as well as down, just for it to sit over the collar. Take your time. You know what? I think it's easier if I get one side of it down. Yeah, so what you want to do is get one side of it down and then just hold it while you use the pick to kind of walk it around. Yeah, that's super easy. All right, guys, so that's the trick. Get one side of the clip down into that groove first, and then you're just gonna walk it around with the other pick, okay? So there you go, you're in, looks great. I just wanna make sure that it's in there and seated nicely. Take your cloth. Yeah, looks pretty good, guys. I'm pretty happy. All right, so before you can put the back cover on, okay, same thing. Actually, now that the clip is in, you can take this, and as you can tell, it's not gonna go anywhere. It is now fully binded, okay? So that notch, like I said, just needs to line up like that, because that's where the back cover is gonna go, okay? So looks great. This looks great as well. Same thing, that notch goes right in there. You can always wiggle it a little bit like that. Guys, I think that is fantastic. So this is the 12, goes to the back cover here, okay? And then before we do anything, like I said, I'm just hand tightening everything because I want to make sure that I have everything in line. I don't know, but I'm sure there's a torque spec on these bolts somewhere on the internet, but okay, that feels good, guys. Nothing's binding. I don't hear anything. It's great. All right, so before we can call it a success, we gotta put this guy back on. Like that. Perfect. Do the 12 in. All right, guys, there you have it. That is how you rebuild a 2001 to 2006 Lexus ls430, and I'm assuming this is going to apply to a lot of the different Toyota and Lexus model. I have a 2001 Lexus GS 430 as well that I need to do the same job on because my power steering pump on that car is leaking as well, so I'm also going to film that. Guys, thank you so much for watching, and please make sure you throw out all of the old O-rings. You don't want to reuse those. It's the last thing you want to do, okay? Thanks again, guys, for watching. I appreciate it.